Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to deliver the word of Fat Sajak. Blasphemy! Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you've never been here before, I am Fat Sajak. You know what time it is. Today, unfortunately, I know I have full control over this, but unfortunately we're going to talk about gabbie henna again because there are a couple things that I want to talk about. A couple of things that we're going to wait until the next episode came out because I'm trying to only put out gabbie henna videos when she puts out episodes. But there have been a couple developments, a couple of things brought to my attention that I really want to talk about, and then some things that I think are important for context as we continue down this like weird road of religious psychosis. So if you're new here, neat. Make sure you're subscribed because I never shut the fuck up. If you're not new here, welcome back. I already addressed you both. Get off my back. There is a whole playlist with all the gabbie henna content on it down below, or unless I forgot to put it there, but it does exist. So that's got everything you need in order to catch up. In fact, we're going to be referencing some of my own old videos in this here videos. Too much of this. It's like delicious crack cocaine. So we're going to be talking about a few things, and I think they all basically intertwine with each other. So I might be a linear storyteller today. No promises though. So make sure you're subscribed if you haven't subscribed already. If you're already subscribed, well, guess you've done the bare minimum for today. I also have a Patreon where we watch a lot of nostalgia content. We've been watching a lot of Teen Mom lately. But there's other stuff too, and there will be more other stuff as the days go on. So that's always fun. We do drops over there like we do premieres here. So we all chit chat and watch episode of shows that make us feel nostalgic for times when our jeans were too long and covered in wet from the street, and we wore Ugg boots with denim mini skirts and dresses over jeans. Something's deeply wrong with millennials. We are a haunted generation. Anyway, let's get into the video, shall we? Well, Gabbie's been on sort of like a religious, I want to say mission, but like crusade feels a little more appropriate. She's basically been riding this whole like Jesus saved me, I'm the best Christian, but I'm not judging you even though I am kind of whole thing for like a hot minute. And you know, her husband sits there and enables her by saying things like yeah and for like the better part of an hour every time. So this podcast started with her coming for TRISHA PAYTAS immediately, Jessie Smiles immediately, and drama channels immediately. And the interesting thing about that is that last night when I was kind of sifting through like some of my own old content, because like, listen, I don't enjoy watching my old content. In fact, like my editing has come a long way and it's not even great now. But the editing of then, I was working with what I had. I was editing on iMovie on an iPad, okay? So, like, I was doing the best I could. I know, I vaguely remember the things that I have touched on and the things that I found important at the time, back when we were covering, like, Gabbie's series, her expose series, where she was trying to take everybody down. And one consistency that I have found with Gabbie through that time all the way to now is the insistence that it is TRISHA PAYTAS, Jessie Smiles, and the drama channels that she has a problem with. So good on ya for your consistency. Consistently terrible, consistently hate the same three subsets of people. Now, Gabbie has been running her Patreon as a sort of like free and open forum for her nonsense for a while. It's gotten more popular as people discovered the nasty things that she was saying in her open and free group chat. Things like, Jessie used her rape as a weapon to take others down, not just me, and most rape victims, self included, understand that this is one of the most deranged and evil things you can do. In case you were wondering what the things she was saying in there look like. Also, she said, imagine I was doing OnlyFans or whatever else to pay the bills. Girl, you were doing OnlyFans. You were. You actually were. You were advertising it on your Instagram. You were. I remember. Not that I don't have any issue with people doing OnlyFans, but like something, First Stone, Glass House. Didn't you write a song about that little Bible mention there? So in my last video, I went through a bunch of these messages, right? And my whole thing was like, if this is what's in the open chat, I cannot even imagine what's in the private chat. And oh boy, should I have jumped on the opportunity to just hand Gabby Hanna $5 because holy shit, she deleted both of the chats in her Patreon as of last night, sometime overnight. Also, before we get to that, this text, because I went in there yesterday myself, the reason I didn't include these last time is because I didn't go into the chat myself, because I know that when you join someone, because you have to join the Patreon, even though it's free, and even though I used my like user profile instead of my creator profile, like for Patreons that I actually subscribe to, it still has the same email address. So like one quick glance at like so-and-so joined as a free member will show you that person's email address. Like we don't see payment information. We don't see any of that on like the back end of Patreon, but we do see name, email address, and then like the tier you sign up for. I was very reticent to join because first of all, I do feel like as a commentary channel, which she already has great hatred for, I do feel like even though she wants us there, it still felt like an invasion of not privacy, but like personal space, I guess. But I was very curious yesterday, so I did go in and look, and I had reason to because I was looking for something else, and we'll get to that in a second. But I did find like a bunch of random things. I was scrolling up as far as I could, and I did see some things that Gabby was saying, like this one, I have to deliver the content to the people in my real life / community, what I went through. Like I want the people who are Googling me at church to hear my side. Now, this is in the middle of talking about the whole thing with the drama channels and all of that. I think it was actually, I actually think this was in part of the conversation about Adam McIntyre.
Who the fuck is Googling you from church?
Do you go home and Google people that you meet at church? Because that's absolutely weird. No one is Googling you from church unless you're telling them to Google you. Unless you're telling them like, hey, look me up on Google. Who is meeting you at church and like, I have to Google that girl. She must be Google. Google me like one of your French girls. She talked a little bit about going on H3. She talked about going on the Bangin' Out podcast because apparently they asked her on. So, I mean, you know, same old shit. Now, one thing I will say in there is that there were minors. There were still kids in her chat, at least one for sure. And some that were close enough. And I gotta be honest, like the larger overarching conversation about how close we're getting as creators to our fans is something that we really, really need to talk about as a community of like creators, big or small. Okay. We light the candles for clarity, protection, and salacious acts. But for real, like, I think this is a bigger conversation we need to have because, you know, obviously we had the Colleen Ballinger incident. Obviously we've got Shane Dawson on his Patreon and group chats with fans as well as like an Instagram, whatever those are, like those channels or whatever. And then we've also got Gabby Hanna in her chats talking to, you know, yes, adults, but also children. And talking like this, talking about a woman that they don't know personally, using their rape as a weapon to take others down in a completely fabricated statement. I don't understand where this young fan base comes from now, but I do know that this person used, was after like Gabby left, like she's like, I can't post for myself anymore. And they said, I'm crying. I was so happy to be able to talk to Gabby and let her know she has fans and that she has people following her and cheering her on. Because I feel like it's so easy for her to see the negative and shut out the positive, but people always have to ruin this for us and for her. It makes me so sad. She truly doesn't deserve any of this. Sure. She doesn't deserve any of this stuff that she provoked herself. She's such a sweet, beautiful, gentle soul. Yeah, okay, I'd love to see the math on that. who has been through so much, and people still see her as a target. People still see her as someone who needs to be taken down and ridiculed. Actually, I see her as a fucking bitch. Fuck them. Fuck everyone. We live in such a sick world where evil is celebrated and good people are put down, like at the vet. But Gabbie will get her lick back in the end. Congratulations, Gabbie Hanna, on taking that phrase, using it incorrectly, and then passing it on to whatever 4th grader is in your Patreon. Anyhow, I digress. So, Gabbie, as you can see, has taken the chats off of Patreon. They do not exist there anymore. Why is this? Here's what I think. And this brings me to sort of the first thing that I wanted to revisit and make sure that, like, people know about. I feel like everything that I'm about to talk about, these are all things that have been sort of lost in the sauce in terms of, like, all of the terrible shit that Gabbie does and has done. And I think it's only appropriate to start with this because it's just too coincidental that this chat was taken down after this person entered the chat. So, Jen Dent, if you are unfamiliar, was also a Viner, also very close friends with Jessie, and could have absolutely had her entire life ruined by Gabbie Hanna and the stands that were closest to her at the time. So, little history lesson, okay? I do tell this story in a video that is titled, That'll Do, Gabbie Hanna, That'll Do. So let's hear what past me has to say from 4-ish years ago. Their questionable hair and makeup choices in a different house, in a different state. Same shit. As a quick example, the fellow in his 30s who decided to pull an essay of a child accusation out of Bellevue fuck nowhere, referring to this child that has yet to materialize as his friend. And as you can imagine, the Gabbie Hanna cult stands took this and ran with it as far and as fast as they could, taking it all the way back to Regina George herself. Have you seen the evidence? It's, again, dark.
Bitch, where?
Also,
Bitch, what?
what evidence? Some creep in Australia's baseless tweet that offered no context, no evidence, no victim. Yeah, that is pretty dark that someone would come up with that on the fly for no real reason. Okay, so I'm gonna interrupt you, much younger me. The tweet in question was by this son of a bitch who disappeared off the face of the planet, as far as I understand it. And he said, I will not rest until there is accountability for Jen Dent raping a tiny innocent little girl. I don't care if it takes years, but everyone will know the truth. Hashtag BLM, hashtag LGBTQI+. Notice the most judgmental woke people are always hiding horrific crimes. This was absolutely baseless. This was absolutely insane. It came off some fucking wall. Nobody really knows what wall or who this person was or what their motive was. I mean, obviously none of it was good. So just to be clear, that's what this is. Now, this is referenced in Jessie's larger video, her last video that she made, the Gabbie Hanna Will Never Stop. And she talks about how Gabbie contacting her, brought this up. Dude, Jen raped a little girl though. That's dark. Jessie says, what the fuck is wrong with you? No, she didn't, Gabbie. Did you see the evidence? Jessie says, leave me alone. Gabbie says, it's, again, dark. I'm gonna let the other me continue, and then I'm gonna have some things to say. The fact that your minion stands would run with that so fucking hard. It says, I'm doing the same thing she does. She throws around accusations about Gabbie so she can have a taste of her own medicine. Plus, if this is true, it needs to spread like wildfire. That's dark, for sure. Dark indeed. My favorite part was the stan who tried to argue just the other day that that wasn't Gabbie saying that she had seen the evidence. The implication in this tweet, Gabbie was implying that she had seen the evidence. Have you seen the evidence? It's dark implies that she's seen evidence, implies that she's implying that she has seen evidence. You cannot spin that no matter how hard you try. Nobody on the internet is that stupid. Sorry. The rest of them didn't seem to think that this was in any way disturbing or detrimental to do to somebody.
Just a casual, patently false sexual assault allegation.
It's like, how could that possibly affect anyone? Probably in a similar fashion to calling someone's former place of business and also trying to have their nursing license revoked. Not to mention the endless harassment, literal forgery, all of which they reduce down to drama, or being not that serious, or that we're like making shit up. Because here at the Gabbie Hanna School of "No, I didn't, you narcissistic, abusive gaslighter," you too can deny your part in any wrongdoings, contradict yourself at every turn, and then pretend everything is and always was perfectly fine. Here, you can master the fine art of backtracking, being confusing, parroting phrases you've heard Gabbie Hanna say over and over and over and over again, completely incorrectly. Mental gymnastics. Don't forget to stretch, you don't want to pull something. How to say you're just trolling after inflicting copious amounts of damage onto people who suffer from real mental illnesses, just to own the haters. Defending Gabbie Hanna in the same breath you use to say that she's been doing very problematic things that you don't agree with. Being unable to be reasoned with. Being unable to have a civilized conversation with somebody you simply just disagree with. You too can graduate with a master's in manipulation. Now, while I'm hilarious, I'm also making some very astute points. Many of these points about the actual detriment that things like this cause to people's lives and livelihoods. My foot's asleep. Anybody ever experienced standing up before? So essentially, what happened was this tweet came out. Gabbie obviously ran with it. The Stans obviously ran with it because at the time, a lot of them were young and had no real concept of how these things can actually affect people in the real world. And in doing so, they called Jen's job, which was a job she was no longer at, to let them know, because some fuckwad on Twitter said so, that she was a rapist. Not just a rapist, one involving children. Now, how does this connect, you may ask? Well, first of all, it is very weird how quickly we have glossed over things like this, as well as some other stuff that I'm going to bring up in a little bit. But things like this, Gabbie is so rapid fire evil, and I'm comfortable saying that. She has done some really rapid fire evil shit. She has made some choices that I would say only a bad person would make choices like that. And understandably, a lot of this is surely very triggering to the people involved, right? People directly involved. Like, this is triggering to people who are not involved, or people who are like tangentially involved. This is a lot. Okay, this is like a lot of shit. In the chat, when it was still a thing, Jen Dent posed a question to the room. I've raised this question previously, but I would like to do so again in a respectful and straightforward manner. Can someone please explain how Gabbie can publicly request apologies and forgiveness from others while never addressing the fact that she used her Patreon platform to publish statements alleging that I had sexually assaulted a child? In that post, she stated that she had seen the evidence and described it as dark, asked her audience to pray for the alleged child, and warned others to stay away from me because I was a dangerous person. Which is true. I remember her saying to her stans, I'm not going to bother to find the screenshots, these people are dangerous. Jen Dent is dangerous. Be careful. In an attempt to subconsciously alert them to go ahead and, how did she used to put it? Defend me however you see fit, I think was a phrase that she used to like. These are extremely serious allegations. They were presented to a paying audience as factual claims and have the potential to cause significant personal and professional harm. For context, I am a nurse and a longtime sexual assault advocate who has spent hundreds of hours volunteering on the National Sexual Assault Hotline supporting survivors. Gabbie was aware of this. There are a bunch of other messages, but I think that is the crux of it. Part of this too was in the instance of surrounding Jessie making her last video about Gabbie. Jen says, the whole blow up happened because people were calling my job and posting that I was a rapist. So I started going back at people on Twitter, and she started texting Jessie and saying that I was forcing her hand. If I did not stop, she was going to release some videos or whatever. And she said this is going to hurt you more than it hurts her, meaning it's going to hurt Jessie more than it hurts me. And we can fact check that in Jessie's video. The thing about this, and the communities that I was part of at the time, we were all infuriated by this. I know this has been documented in videos. I know that this has been brought up, but I do think that this is something that does get swept under the rug or forgotten just in general because of how many terrible things Gabbie does. I also think it's a testament to Jen Dent's character, because she is often painted as someone who is very assertive, very strong, and will just say the thing. She's not gonna, sugarcoat it for you. And I think a lot of times people like that, and I am someone like that, a lot of times when people like that are met with things, well, this is an extreme example, but like things like this, where like more people should be saying something, anything, a lot of times people don't, because they're like, oh, that person's, she's tough, she can handle it, like, she's got this. Like, I think a lot of people, they don't even mean to, but they're like, they feel like that person can handle it. They can handle their shit. They can handle everybody else's shit. But like, for real, like, that's a huge fucking deal. That's a huge deal. She made this point in the chat too, where it's like, she was working as a nurse. These people are mandatory reporters. If she got the wrong person on the wrong day or the right person on the right day, depending on how you look at the situation, that person, they are mandatory reporters. They are required by law to report that, which would have ruined her career and probably her life, if we're being honest. That is a huge deal. That is a huge deal. That is taking internet drama and taking it to somebody's real fucking life with massive consequences. I honestly, and I think she brought it up here, I think Jen had huge grounds to sue, and I think that she should have, to be honest. That's just my opinion. But she says here, she wants to talk about evidence and taking people to court. I could totally do that. I have not forgotten it. Then we meet the moderators of the chat, okay? Again, as always, when we're referencing stuff like this, I just have to say it. My audience is all adults, but I think I had like 0.04% under 18 recently, and I was like, oh no, like, no offense if you're watching and you're like, oh yay, or you're not, or you hate watching me, whatever. I know my demo, okay? I know y'all are older, I know y'all are more mature than this, but I have to say it just to have said it. Please do not go harass any of these people. Please do not do any of, you can't now because the chat's gone, but just the same, if you know who any of these people are, please do not go find them or harass them, or we don't even need to go on about it in the comments, to be honest with you. Now, under this moderator says, then do that. This isn't doing anything but causing conflict for everyone. This is between the two of you. I understand as a moderator in a community, you have a certain responsibility to walk the line between being fair to the people who are speaking their mind and protecting the creator you're moderating for. However, this isn't a paid position. And if you can read all of the things that Jen said that happened, that again can be factually backed up, that they did happen, and this is the response, I feel like as a moderator, sometimes you need to let people talk. Now, the person underneath her says, but like, to be fair, isn't the TRISHA/Gabbie stuff between the two of them? So since TRISHA hasn't mentioned Gabbie in a bad light since they talked on the podcast, shouldn't Gabbie do the same? Take people to court for slander, not post on TikTok and YouTube? Because that for sure is causing conflict. What's good for the goose is not good for the gander, and I think that that's a terrific point. Then our moderator comes back with this one. It is absolutely between the two of them. It's not our business. She wants to start rattling off her hit list And then when those people come back and say, hey, actually, you're a huge asshole, then it's between the two of them. I understand wanting people to behave or react differently than they sometimes do, but it's not our place to police them. Did anyone send that message to Gabrielle? Because I think she could use it. Going out of your way to come into someone's personal chat. Nope. What we're not going to do is, we're not going to do anything because it's not there anymore. But what we're not going to do is that. Because Gabbie has mentioned the chat, that it's free and it's open. And that anybody's welcome to come. She's addressing drama channels as a collective. She's addressed drama channels by name. She has addressed all of these people with an essential welcome into my shit talking session. What we're not going to do is act like anybody in that chat was invading her personal space. That's not what it was. That was not in the paid private chat. I have not seen anyone, well, I've seen one person leak something from the paid personal chat. But you don't get to go, oh, no, this is personal. This is personal. It's not. It's not. Because on Gabbie's Patreon, it literally says, everything is public and free. No one came behind the paywall to talk about this. No one paid $5 to talk about this. This is in the public and free chat. So do not act like Jen Den came in there barging through her personal space to cause a scene. And she was entirely respectful, by the way. Going out of your way to come into someone's personal chat to talk to anyone who will listen about the way they pissed you off is unnecessary. So is making several podcast episodes to talk to anyone who will listen about the way in which they pissed you off, and none of it being accurate is also unnecessary. I don't know what kind of spell Gabbie has over these young people. Weird. It's weird, because it's not like she's been creating consistent content or interesting content. She's just been yelling at people and talking about God. That's literally it. I don't get it. What is the appeal? Even to the extreme where you have to fight for her and you have to justify the horrible things she's done and the horrible things she's continued to perpetuate. What is the draw? What do you get from that? Because I don't understand it, and I would really love some clarity. You guys know anything? Because, I don't know who these kids are. But, this one I know as a kid. It says, I have been a Gabbie Hanna stan since 2nd grade, so I can't be stopped. I won't be stopped. I'm going to keep going for the queen. Honey, I promise you, in about 5 years, you're going to look back on this post and remember that you made it, and you're going to feel so much embarrassment for past you. I know that doesn't seem like a readily available emotion right now, but I promise. And honestly, the advent of this whole accessibility to like celebrities and creators and influencers and stuff, like with Twitter and Instagram and all of that, I think that has created a monster in people, because like stanhood, like if people had spoken like this in like the 90s or even the early 2000s about their like favorite celebrity or influencer, whatever, you know, not there were influencers then, but you know what I mean, about their favorite like public figure, everybody would be like, wow, get that person some fucking help. That's scary and weird. You're a stalker. Like if you spoke like that then, you were an outlier, right? Like the way that these people talk like that, like these people, not all people who are fans of people or even who are passionate fans of people, but people who talk like this, where it's like, there's nothing you could say, there's no hard line for me. Gabbie Hanna could bite the head off of a puppy and I would still love her and I would do it myself. Like that kind of shit. That's nuts. But I digress. Under this comment, someone said, that's really sad. You're the same person you were in grade 2. And this stan says, you didn't know how I acted in 2nd grade. Being a Gabbie stan all these years is all I really need to know. Grow up. You need to grow up. At your grown age, worried about influencer drama. Okay, so this is like similar to when people say like, how you can't talk shit about my favorite celebrity. You know, you just because you've heard bad things doesn't mean they're a bad person. Conversely, which means additionally, But on the opposite side, you don't know that they're a good person just because you've heard and seen good things. Now, when someone shows you a pattern of behavior over and over, and those patterns are real, real bad, you can probably surmise, which means estimate, that that person is a bad person, right? Might still not be accurate, but it probably is. At your grown age, worried about influencer drama. At your grown age, meanwhile, Gabbie Hanna's in her mid-30s, getting 10,000 views on her angry, I hate everyone that's ever wronged me podcast. So I just thought that that was funny. But this is an example of one of the people in the chat who is a minor. To still have children in your chat is bizarre to me. At my grown age, having children in my chat feels weird. Real weird. I'm not saying it's weird that like teenagers enjoy content. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. But like to actively engage in a group chat where you know one or more of the participants is a minor, and not make any sort of modifications to the way that you speak or I don't know, like for me it just feels wildly inappropriate. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's Maybelline. I don't know. Anyway, we need to remember even the stories that happened and the potential for lives that could have been ruined were still, I mean, there was so much potential to ruin people's lives, and for them to have run with this absolute baseless, victimless rumor was nuts. The Gen Zen situation led me directly to a situation with Alex James. Now, Alex, also big on Vine, friends with Jesse, friends with Jen. One of Gabbie Hanna's biggest gripes when it comes to Jessie Smiles and the situation with he who must not be named is that Alex James and he who must not be named remained friends after everything came out about the sexual assault that took place. Jessie explained that in her video, talked about that, even though she shouldn't have to justify it. We can forgive or not forgive whoever the we want. Like, that is our God-given right. Meryl Streep can't take that away from me. Also, you guys ask me all the time what this... Sorry, it's a serious moment, but you guys ask me all the time what this lip color is. Yummy Blur from CoverGirl in the shade something, probably. Oh, my old ass eyes can't read that. 40, for fuck's sake. It's called The Blur. I love it. Anyway, let's back to the serious topic. Jessie talked about how in her friendship with Alex, there was never a situation where he hung out with he who must not be named that she didn't know about. He also apologized to her. They also worked it out. They talked about it, and then it never happened again. Whereas when it happened with Gabbie, you know, oops, I was in this photo with Curtis and I didn't know it was him and I told him to delete it right away. Oops, we were at dinner together on accident. You know, it was just, there was always like an excuse. Now, because of this, because Jessie and Alex were able, you know, to, like adults, talk it out and move on, like, again, adults do, it seems like Gabbie really has held a grudge for Alex over that, and then proceeded to make it also about other stuff. But we're going to refer back to older me, well, younger me, but in the older times, because in looking for something else in particular in one of my videos, I came across something I had forgotten about entirely.
Alex and I drove together and he was like, come stay with me. And he's like hurt me before, dude.
Gabbie here just made a claim that Alex James has physically hurt her before. What the f- I'm not here to victim blame or victim shame. But come at a video already pissed because Jessie accepted Alex's apology, and that doesn't bode well in comparison to how she treats Gabbie. And then just casually throws in that he is physically, I mean, I guess we can say assaulted her. That's alarming. Not because I think Alex hurt her, But because it seems that there's literally nothing Gabbie Hanna won't say to try to curry favor in a situation where she's losing. Such a passive mention in a video meant to be this great catharsis where she's laying everything on the table. I find it really hard to believe it, because I feel like if she was bold enough to mention it, she would have said what happened. So I find it almost impossible to believe without even a shred of detail. Sorry. I stand by the fact that I think Rice Gum is a piece of shit. She was wronged in that situation, for sure. But this accusation is about as sturdy as me throwing myself down a flight of cement stairs.
And I stand on that. Not the flight of cement stairs. I fall down that. But I stand by what I said there. I don't believe you. Because here's the thing. I'm not a victim shamer, a victim blamer. I'm not one usually to question women at all when they say they've been assaulted. Or men, I guess. Victims, I'm not one to I guess it doesn't know any gender. My belief in victims knows no gender. As someone with some decent pattern recognition skills, I find it really hard to believe that you were physically assaulted by Alex James and have never ever spoken about it. You've spoken about him trying to fool you, that there was a ghost in the room and how traumatic that was, but we've never heard about him physically assaulting you? Never. That's never come up other than in a little annotation in a video. So, I mean, without proof, that's, slander. So, again, something that could ruin someone's life. Now, I feel like this was also extra glossed over because even I had forgotten this, and I'm something of a historian. I had forgotten that she had did that. I had forgotten she had did that. What the fuck? I had completely forgotten. So maybe I need to go back and watch more of my old content. But this leads me to another thing. Okay, so the nice thing is all these things intertwined, which is why I made a video about it, because there were too many things that connected in that way that I really kind of wanted to talk about it. This led me to thinking about the disdain that Gabbie Hanna has for Jessie Smiles. And again, I really try to only talk about Jessie in a respectful light because I don't think bringing up the horrors that have happened is helpful other than for context. So like, if you're halfway through this video and you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, you need to hit the playlist because I'm not going to keep bringing it up because that's not my bag, okay? But at the core of it, it seems to me that Gabbie wants a fucking trophy and a party every day for the rest of her life for having stayed friends with Jessie and supporting her after everything went down with He Who Must Not Be Named. She wants that, she brings it up all the time. I was her only friend. Everybody believed Curtis. I lost a bunch of opportunities. Nobody fucked with me because I was friends with Jessie. These are inside thoughts. What you're showing me and what you have shown in the past with saying things like, I shouldn't have even had to apologize for the Bianca Devin situation because X, Y, and Z. I was harassed by the drama channels. It's Angelica Ols's fault. This, that, and the third. So basically retracting her apology. She will find a way to make herself the victim or more correct in a situation so that she doesn't have to be on the record saying she was wrong. Remaining someone's friend, even if the way that Gabbie says everything happened to the letter, right? Let's say Jessie's being blackballed by everybody and all of that, and she is her only remaining friend. Why are you resentful about that? Because if you're a real friend, then losing opportunities is not something that you hold over your friend's head, even if you have a falling out. Gabbie is bitter, and I cannot figure out what she wants. Even though Gabbie Hanna wants to rewrite history and say, in 2019, Jessie made a video when I put out my EP or whatever the fuck, unprovoked, and she's always doing this. The first time Jessie made a video, Gabbie was in a fan's DMs sharing personal information about Jessie with that fan. The second video was prompted by constant harassment, unhinged behavior, and a BuzzFeed article that was released on June 4th of 2021. Jessie's last video about Gabbie Hanna was released on July 4th, 2021. We're going to go through this BuzzFeed article. I have a whole video going through this BuzzFeed article already, so I'm basically repeating my own content, but I think it's an important thing to revisit in this, the year of our Lord, Gabbie Hanna. So let's look at this, okay? Unprovoked. Why is everyone so mad at Gabbie Hanna? I remember roasting the shit out of this author on the Twitters. The YouTuber has been at the center of a number of scandals, big and small. Unlike her contemporaries, Hanna offering an apology isn't getting her back in the good graces of her audience. That's because she didn't bother to offer an apology at all. I remember feeling very angry about this article because it's infuriating in and of itself, and with how little research the author actually did. You want me to write an op-ed piece about Gabbie Hanna, BuzzFeed? Because I will. When I got to YouTuber Gabbie Hanna's $2.2 million Studio City home in Los Angeles last month, I rang the doorbell and was promptly told to let myself in. I believe it's a castle. Doors open, her boyfriend told me through the intercom. I remember feeling like that was rude. I still feel that way. Oh, Peyton, I hope you're doing well. Their two cats sitting on a tall scratching post barely lifted their heads, leaving me to walk through Hannah's home on my own, hoping to find her. She wasn't in the living room, which had a framed print of the word cunt written in cursive sitting next to an emerald couch. She wasn't in one of the 2 recording studios in her home where she records her podcast, Burnout with Gabbie Hanna. Oh, alright, so we were in the burnout area, not in Box of Thoughts, or Follow Your Dreams, or Unfollow Your Dreams, or whatever the fuck she called 9 iterations of that podcast. One of which is decorated with awards from YouTube, and a framed printout of her placement on the New York Times bestseller list. Awards from YouTube. She's published 2 poetry collections, 2017's Adultolescence and 2020's Dandelion. One more awful than the next. I finally found her upstairs in her bedroom getting her makeup done for our photo shoot, wearing cutoff jeans and a vintage Queen t-shirt, while her publicist, the makeup artist, and the photographer's assistant made a semicircle around her. The publicist was new at the time, I remember, and she didn't last long. Also, this was Gabbie's Queen phase, where she thought she was Freddie Mercury. Also, this woman's just wandering around your fucking house. What a weird fucking thing to do. We made awkward small talk for a few minutes before Hanna turned to us and said, okay, this is a question for the room. What's your most embarrassing moment? And even though she hadn't met any of us before, including her new publicist, who at no point during the day would allow me to speak to Hanna alone, which I wonder how she got fired. One told her about a recent blackout, another an awkward interaction with a crush. And you, Hanna asked me? I mean, come on, buy a girl a drink first. First, she was on Vine, where she made a name for herself through comedy bits in 2013, which later got her a few nominations at the Teen Choice Awards in 2016. In 2014, she debuted The Gabbie Show on YouTube, which picked up steam in 2017, coming alongside fellow creators like Lily Singh, Liza Koshy, and David Dobrik. She gained a following by making personality-driven videos with her creator friends and storytime videos about her own life. Yeah, and really exacerbated stories that may or may not have been true at all. Hanna was briefly a video fellow at BuzzFeed in 2015, though we'd never interacted before our interview. Thank God we specified. At the height of her popularity with millions of followers on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, she was nominated for YouTuber of the Year at the 2018 Shorty Awards. But these days, Hanna's YouTube page is largely dormant. Her subscribers are down to around 5.7 million. 4.98 now, by the way. And I think before her whole, meltdown, she was at, for whatever reason, the number 6.25 sticks in my head. So, you know. In the last month alone, she lost 30,000 subscribers. Her latest video has just under 244,000 views, a precipitous drop compared to videos posted a year earlier, like My Very Dark Childhood, 1.3 million views, or Trying Lip Filler for the First Time, 2.4 million views. Her most recent podcast episode has 10,000 views, just FYI. In the last 5 months, she's posted just one video, a cover of Alanis Morissette's You Oughta Know. Oh God, I can't with the pants, not the white pants again, they're haunting me. Oh, the whole thing was haunting. It was all just haunting. Alanis doesn't deserve this. Her dwindling subscriber base has no doubt been the result of a series of swift and unending controversies. Is that what we would call it? Controversies? First, in 2017, people criticized Hanna for making a video about a classmate who died of a drug overdose without consulting the family first. Yeah, there's another one that was glossed over quite a bit. I feel like people brought it up for a while, but she's done so many fucking egregious things that, like, all of these things that have happened are terrible on an equal level. And they, you know, I guess our brains just, like, compartmentalize them to remember, like, the loudest ones. Maybe that's it. Hanna apologized in a follow-up video. Then in 2018, she promoted a free, except for shipping, set of makeup brushes that people claimed were poorly made, began shedding after the first use, and in some cases never actually showed up after orders were placed. But instead of apologizing, you make a noise back there? But instead of apologizing, she blamed her audience. Yeah, she surely did. I guess you could say when it comes to Gabbie Hanna, you should manage your expectations a little bit. Are they these amazing, high quality, can't even believe it, great brushes? Hanna said in a response video while doing her makeup with the offending brushes. No, I also never said that they were. I'm not sure what quality people were expecting when they paid $10 for 10 brushes. Then, and by the way, yuck. Can we I mean, I know Kinds of Cosmetics has been beat to death in terms of, like, Gabbie Hanna's controversies, but, like, girl, just admit you were hawking crap and call it a day. Then in 2019, Hanna allegedly told TRISHA Paytas' then boyfriend Jason Nash that the fellow YouTuber had herpes. Paytas denied the accusation. Hanna also had to apologize for tweeting, "If I could be any animal, I'd be a Beyonce." Yes, another banger. And then in 2019, she became embroiled in her most serious controversy. Jessie Smiles accused her ex-boyfriend Curtis Lepore of raping her in 2013. She later claimed that Hanna had continued to stay friends and collaborate with him. Smiles filed charges in 2014 and dropped them a month later when Lepore pled guilty to felony assault. Lepore did not respond to my interview requests, and Smiles declined to comment for this story. I believe I made this point last time, but that should fucking tell you something, bitch! Soon thereafter, Hanna was labeled a, quote, rape apologist by the public. Well, yeah, she is. It's a colloquialism that she falls right under the umbrella of. Fellow creators and followers turned on Hanna, who was once considered sincere and emotionally intimate with her audience, and began calling her calculating and manipulative. Yeah. I don't think she's a good manipulator. I think she's someone who spits a lot of vitriol real fast to, like, throw you off so that you didn't notice the last horrible thing she did. But I do think that she's calculated. I do think there's, like, a level of psychopathy there that is just kind of undeniable at this point, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not trying to, like, diagnose her with anything, but, like, who didn't I apologize to? Hanna told me after we sat in her backyard. Literally everyone. What do you mean? I gave Jessie Smiles an apology? Where? Because if she's referring to the video where she talked about Jessie and Alex and Beyonce, it wasn't really much of an apology video. Also, you could just, like, reach out personally. I don't know. I gave Jessie Smiles an apology. I gave Beyonce an apology. It feels like I'm always dishing out apologies, and I've never once received one, and that to me feels a little chaotic. It to me feels like you think that apologies are immediately reciprocal, and what would Jessie have to apologize to you for? What would Beyonce have to apologize to you for? I think the thing about this, and it holds true from this time to now, is, like, Gabbie keeps saying, like, she's owed an apology, but, like, and these people have done her wrong, but, like, the specifics of the examples are missing, right? You want me to believe that you've been wrong, this is how you were hurt, so-and-so is manipulative, so-and-so has done X, Y, and Z, but there's never any, as, like, even if you don't have, like, a tangible screenshot, even a detailed description of the moment in time would be better than whatever this is. And whatever she's doing now. YouTubers are constantly apologizing for their public gaffes. Makeup experts have practically created a sub-industry with their crying mea culpas alone. Hanna isn't unique in making very public mistakes, handling them poorly, and then having to backtrack. But she never backtracks. She just doubles down. Which you'd know if you did any research. And just like the others, some of Hanna's apologies seem sincere and some really don't. But unlike her YouTube peers, Hanna hasn't been able to bounce back after an apology video or time off social media. Perhaps because a sizable chunk of her audience is absolutely not buying that she's sorry for anything. That's because when she comes back, she just does the same shit in a different font. She can't move forward because they won't let her. No, she can't move forward because she won't let herself. She's not doing the actual work. She's just saying that she has and then trying to get back in everybody's good graces by trying to be the victim of every situation. It's been the same thing. This is from 2021. It's the same thing as now. She can't move forward because they won't let her. Everything she posts is another reason for them to bring up the exploited dead teen, the allegations of being a rape apologist, the molting makeup brushes. Yeah, but there's also like a bunch of awful stuff in between. You know, there are many things that could have gone on that list. Referring to the allegations of being a rape apologist. She is a rape apologist. She is a rape apologist. Jessie used her rape as a weapon to take others down. Rape apologist. I was going to talk about my rape. Rape apologist. I'm just taken back to the time Jimmy Snow tried to pull a semantics on the term apologetics and how it refers to a rape apologist. Bonkers. We should revisit that video sometime. If people aren't taking shots at her in the comments of her TikTok videos, then they're making memes of her. Aww. Welcome to the internet. I honestly just want to be left alone, but they just can't resist because you're a terrible person. Sorry. Be a better person. Then I bet they could. The allegations levied against Hannah range from the tedious, the makeup brushes, to the sincerely awful, ignored her friend's alleged rape. Ignored her friend's alleged rape is not what the situation was. This author, awful. Just god-awful. But they're not worse than those about it. But they're not worse than those about any of her often male counterparts. Well, she doesn't even take her shitty male counterparts to task. She only comes for the women and the gay men. So, again, something you'd know if you actually paid attention and knew what you were talking about. She's a manipulative asshole? Yeah, for sure. Take a number. She's insincere? Who isn't? YouTube helps the worst of humanity float to the top and rewards them for their worst behavior. How much did Gabbie Hanna put in your pocket to say that? Take, for instance, Logan Paul, who recorded a dead body in forest in 2017, said he was sorry and now makes $150,000 for one Facebook post. I don't think Logan Paul is a good person, but I think he's an example of, like, someone who did something bad, apologized for it, and then didn't do that bad thing again. I mean, that's kind of a big example, because it's kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see the dead guy in the woods, but, like, I don't know. So why should Hannah be treated any differently? Because her behavior continues. The things she apologizes for, she continues to do. The things she apologizes for, she continues to insist she is still a victim of. I started on YouTube being a dramatic, loudmouth, confrontational storyteller, and that was the version of me everybody loved, she told me. At some point I started hiding in myself and being silenced because I was so afraid of what people would say. I didn't have anyone backing me. I just want to be my fucking self. Well, you don't know who you are, still, in your mid-30s. Which is why everything's a costume. Those fucking white pants, the Jesus freak moment, I want to be an artist and naked and covered in paint all the time. Like, everything she does is a costume. On her bedroom walls hang 2 framed portraits of Freddie Mercury. One of her cats is even named Freddie Percury, the other one Radio Gaga. Hannah loves Queen, loves Mercury's music, but she specifically admires his I don't give a shit attitude. I like looking up interviews where he's telling people off, she said. Yeah, how quickly that phase faded. Case in point, everything's a costume. I watched as she put on a strapless black leather dress, a clear raincoat, a lucite bow tie, and treacherously high, clear heels for the shoot. Hannah applied a dual-tone lip, red on top and black on the bottom, something she's trying to make her signature look. I totally fucking forgot about that. She smiled at herself in the mirror and teased her hair. Everyone made fun of Freddie Mercury, too. Look at that. Look at that. Freddie Mercury was a gay icon. You keep his fucking name out of your mouth. Hannah grew up in suburban Pennsylvania and is the third of 6 children. Her father is Lebanese, her mother French and Polish. She said she had a tough upbringing. Her parents were both incredibly young when they had her, and according to her, she nearly fell into homelessness a few times as a child. And that's something she's still unpacking. Imagine if she unpacked it in therapy. Hannah also said she has a long history of being bullied as a child. I can't imagine why. An experience that she still deals with online from her former friends as well as total strangers. Girl, you are the bully. I'm not saying bullies can't be bullied, but girl, you are the bully. You are like the final boss bully. It's true, some of the things people say to her online are ghastly. When she posts a semi-nude selfie, she's mocked and derided. Her nose is a near constant source of inspiration, For the cruelest digs from her audience. I get all these comments of people talking about my nose, saying I'm the Fruit Loop bird and calling me Pinocchio and shit. I can't say something about that, sure. But when you turn it into racism and call yourself a colored girl, then we have a whole other bag of dicks. Hannah admits she hasn't been on her best behavior in the past. Of course I was a fucking asshole, she said. I have a fucking neurological disorder that was unchecked and I wasn't taking care of my mental health. She says she's recently gotten a diagnosis for ADHD and CPTSD, or complex post-traumatic stress disorder. Yep, remember, she doesn't have anything. She said so herself, but also she does, and also she said it before, and also it came with OCD, and then it also, one time she had autism, and then bipolar 2, so, you know, it's just kind of hard to keep up. Furthermore, like, this era of Gabbie, when she was very, like, I have ADHD, and that is my whole personality, did a lot of damage. I remember most of my comments being filled with people saying things like, hey, I have ADHD, and I've never once treated my friends like shit because of it. People throw it around a lot and say, oh, I'm ADHD, when you're getting a little bit restless or fidgety, but it's a lot more than that, she said, adding that the disorder causes her to be impulsive and affects her short-term memory. Despite considering herself neurodivergent, she was called out for being ableist in a March tweet dismissing tone indicators, tags used for neurodivergent people who might have difficulty inferring tone online. Part of being neurodivergent is being impulsive and not fully thinking through decisions. Well, actually, that's part of your specific area of neurodivergence. Neurodivergence isn't just what happens to you. I think people have a hard time differentiating between making an excuse and trying to explain yourself. I think you have a hard time with that. Hannah said her impulsivity keeps getting her in trouble. Yes, make sure we blame the ADHD. Because people only make bad decisions when they're neurodivergent. They only treat people like shit when they're neurodivergent. It's a fact. Going all the way back to 2018 when she was promoting those flimsy makeup brushes. Whenever people want to discredit me on whatever my current thing is, they go back to the beginning and say, remember you scammed your fans kind of vibe, she told me. She seems to understand that her approach to dealing with controversies could be better. Yeah, I think a fish in a bowl would understand that, my friend. That was a really bad response, she said, about her response to the makeup brush fiasco. Why don't you just call them the Kenza Cosmetics brushes? Like, we all know what you're talking about. It's a lot of words. Part of the problem was not having a good team at the time and not having a ton of life experience. Or it was promoting something that you don't use, you don't have a physical sample of, just to make some fucking money. All you have to do, like, and this goes to now, all you had to do was say, I made a poor decision. That one's on me. I didn't vet the company. I didn't vet the product. I don't use the product. I was hawking some shit for cash. And I'm sorry. In the future, I will take more caution when I have sponsorships. Really not that hard. Like, all of Gabbie Hanna's problems, all the way back to this, were absolutely preventable. Preventable. By just having an adult conversation about the thing that you did. I went from being a drunk college kid to having a lot of followers and a lot of responsibility, and I was so defensive because I was already getting made fun of because I was a meme. I feel like the timeline is not correct on that. When you get a lot of hate, it's hard to sift out what's hate and what's valid. I needed to learn a lot, and you still do. 5 years later. For a time, the worst thing you could call Gabbie Hanna was a scammer, an irresponsible agent of capitalism who was only out to make money for herself, even if it meant her fans went home with shoddy sponsored products. But then came the rape apologist claims, which have continued to dog her. Well, they continue to be true, so. YouTuber Jessie Smiles accused her ex-boyfriend... did we not already go through this? Accused her ex-boyfriend Curtis Lepora of raping her in 2013 while she was asleep and recovering from a concussion. Smiles and Hannah were once real-life friends and YouTube collaborators. But in 2019, Smiles made a video accusing Hannah of staying friends with Lepore, even after she'd heard about the allegations. One of the things that I believe you never do, even if you hate someone now, Smiles says in her video through tears, is hang out with their rapists and their friends. Smiles declined a request for comment, and Lepore did not respond to multiple requests for comment. Hannah denied that she was ever Lepore's friend. She said she had always believed what Smiles had said about her ex-boyfriend. You have to really try to not give a fuck about what people say if it's not true. Every time I put out a project, it's instantly completely shut down by people starting a new rumor that day. Am I going to live like that forever? Or am I going to do whatever the fuck I want because you're going to hate me anyway? You're going to live like that forever. It's almost like a prophecy. Pretty cool. I don't know the truth about Hannah and Lepore, but I do know well, you could have, like, Googled it for, like, a second. You could have watched any commentary video of the time, which typically contain the proof and evidence and tangible, you know, the tangible proof that these things, you know, exist. Imagine writing, like, a whole piece about somebody and then just not bothering to do any of the research about them. That's fucking insane and terrible journalism. Unlike other YouTubers who behave much, much, much more poorly. Girl, we know whose side you're on. We get it. Hannah actually replies to her detractors' comments, and when she does, it's easy to assume she's hungry for the engagement. After all, she ultimately benefits from it. But what's frustrating is that she's trying to have it both ways. To relish in being the most hated person online, like a Logan or Jake Paul, while also being sensitive about it, like David Dobrik, who has not returned to online life since his apology video in March. God, David Dobrik. What war flashbacks. In June 2020, while recording an episode of her podcast, Box of Thoughts, we go back to that era, Hannah went on an hour-long rant, clearly upset about how she's been treated by her colleagues, her former friends, and her most hostile followers. She took particular umbrage at people who mocked her for seeming unstable. You're going to talk about my mental health as I'm having a mental breakdown because you gaslighted and mentally abused me for fucking months because you spread a one-sided narrative that you knew was full of fucking lies for months, and now I'm talking about it and I'm losing my mind? Fuck you. Fuck all of these people for what they've done to me. Yeah, I know it by heart now. These are bullies. These are high school fucking bullies. That last line, high school fucking bullies, was memed 1,000 times over. Hannah, ever savvy, tried to benefit from that too. She made t-shirts. Tired of the relentless controversies, Hannah has mostly pivoted away from YouTube. In many ways, she had to. She's now focusing on her music, but even her pivot has come with its own issues. In 2018, she did an interview with Genius, breaking down her song Monster, thanks to an audio glitch, or she blew out the mic with that inexperienced belt of hers. Her vocals came out distorted. Man, the publicist really was in the room on this one. This led to a million memes of Hannah scream singing the word monster, augmented with visuals like American Idol judges saying no over and over, or with her voice replaced by a Windows XP startup sound. Like, that's objectively funny. Get over it. God, laugh at yourself. And not in the way of like, now I'm gonna make it the meme, and it's funny because I'm saying it. Like, that's fucking funny. You know what I'm really grateful for? She asked me during our interview. All these people that came out and told stories about me. I'm so glad that didn't happen when I'm famous. Like, imagine that coming out when I'm nominated for a Grammy. Imagine it. Just imagine it. In 2019, she released her debut album, Two-Way Mirror. The second, more rock-focused album was on the way. Actually, it was an EP. But good try, person who does no research. Then there are the reactions to her two poetry collections, both of which became New York Times bestsellers, but have largely been panned by reviewers. Yeah, because them being bestsellers is based on how much you sell. You can be a bad person who writes bad poetry and still sell a ton of books because you have a large fan base. That's what this is. One Goodreads review of Adultolescence. Absolutely one of the worst garbage fire pieces of trash I've ever read. Oh my god. Her latest fight, in fact, is with Rachel Oates, a UK-based YouTube book reviewer. Well, she's also very passionate about poetry and art and things like that, so that feels very minimizing. Oates, who has 229,000 subscribers, is known for her scathing reviews of influencers' books. No, she's not. No, she's not. No, she wasn't, and no, she's not. Her scathing reviews of influencers' books. No, that's not what she's known for at all. I remember feeling very frustrated at the author of this article and how little research she did, and still feel justified in feeling that way. She's made a lot of videos about Hannah, including a multi-part series about adultolescence, which has a cumulative 2.1 million views. Right, because she's thorough. and went through it in detail. But sure. Despite this, in what seemed like a rather shrewd attempt to keep the buzz going, Hanna sent Oates her second book. It worked. Oates' review of Dandelion, currently at just over 674,000 views, is similarly brutal. I actually think I'd go so far as to say that most of the poems in here are worse than adultolescence, Oates says at one point. She even wrote her own parody of Hanna's book from her dog's point of view, called Dogolescence. In response, Hanna went on a screed against Oates on her Instagram stories in April. She called Oates narcissistic and toxic. Actually, she called her a bitch about 15 times. You left that part out. Many of the same words used against Hanna herself over the last 5 years. Yeah, except they actually apply to Gabbie. She's not a fucking artist. I don't care about her fucking opinion. She has no accomplishments in art. I accept my criticism from talented, smart people, not abusive, toxic, exploitative bullies on YouTube. I've been covering Gabbie Hanna a really long time. Hanna's Instagram screed about Oates was made long after her review of Dandelion went live. She claims this too was strategic. I never start drama to support stuff, but if there is drama, I will capitalize on that opportunity to promote something. I'm going to take advantage of a moment. Indeed, she started releasing new music a few weeks after reigniting this fight. So even the dumb author of this article agrees. She reignited this fight. When I asked Hanna about how she chose to handle the Dandelion review, she said she's fine with criticism, she just wants it to be constructive. Oh well. I will be fighting Gabbie Hanna on this until the day this channel dies. Oh fucking well. You don't get to choose the kind of criticism you get. No, I guess you don't have to take it, but Jesus Christ.
I wanted to come, really, packaged in, a soft, little fluffy, bed of cotton, so that I won't have to feel like anything is actually, critical, you know?
But if you're going to continue to harass me, yeah. Rachel Oates is very well known for harassing Gabbie Hanna. Publish a book mocking me, whatever. Me too, I can play the game. I'm not going after a poetry critic. Actually, you are. Hope that helps. There are people who have given my books negative reviews on Goodreads, but she's not a critic. She's calling me some bitch on the internet. No, she's not. No, that's... Okay. I feel like I've already corrected the record on this the last time I read through this, but Rachel never called her some bitch on the internet. Rachel referred to herself as some snarky, sarcastic bitch on the internet, I think is what she said. Not Gabbie Hanna. And it's so funny how she knows, considering all the videos about her she doesn't watch. And having her dog write a poem. I wasn't able to find a source for Oates calling her a bitch, but Hanna did call her one in her Instagram stories in April, which I also asked her about. She is a bitch, she said, before laughing and turning to her publicist. Should I not have said that? Well, what's the difference? You've already said it about 45 times. Oates declined a request for an interview, but she provided a brief statement that said in part, why don't you just give the whole thing? She declined your request for an interview, but you're not even going to publish her whole statement? Gabbie's behavior toward me and others is shocking and upsetting, but my work speaks for itself, and anyone who watches my videos or even reads my book, which parodies her writing style in places, will see her claims are unsubstantiated. I have never harassed her, I have never called her names, I have never mocked the subject matter of her books, I have only critiqued the writing style and apparent laziness of her work. I hope Gabbie has family and friends around her to support her, but I just want her to leave me alone. If you're a Gabbie Hanna fan, then you likely believe she's just really savvy in total control of her image and using the villain role, now basically a trope among YouTubers, as a way to sell records, boost book sales, and jumpstart other projects. She doesn't disagree. I might as well do whatever the fuck I want, because guess what? The views are up. What are you doing now, then? You're going to listen to the fucking album because it's about the shit you guys want to hear about. You're going to watch my series. You're going to read my book. You're going to fucking obsess over every movie that I do. She's doing movies now. Man, what a profit. You're going to fucking pay for my Patreon to see my private content. She also said she's finally able to just be herself online. Her TikTok is mostly videos of her dancing, lip-syncing, or singing in the shower. She has nothing to lose. I finally feel like I'm in control. It's a lot easier to cope with people hating you when you're fanning the flames. Yeah. I think you can clearly see how not in control she is here. In the world of young, unregulated online creators, no one lives up to being any kind of moral authority. Hanna was possibly a bad friend, and she might have spread rumors, but she's part of an industry full of adult children who are often rewarded for bad behavior. It is so weird to, like, paint everyone with a brush of, like, just, like, patently shitty behavior based on you knowing who Logan and Jake Paul are. On YouTube, being an asshole is a moneymaker. Take PewDiePie, the site's highest paid creator in 2016, who has used anti-Semitic rhetoric, which he said is a misunderstanding. How is that even related? The beginning of your sentence doesn't match the end of your sentence. Why am I mad about this? This is from 5 years ago. Hanna ultimately suffers from the same problem that most YouTubers and people do, which is that she's flawed. Oh. But it's also clear she might be held to a higher standard than her fellow creators. Is that clear? Because I don't think that it is. In 2017, she alleged that YouTuber RiceGum had assaulted her at a party after she had goaded him about having a ghostwriter. It seemed that nobody believed her, though he did admit to grabbing her phone and breaking it. Hanna also told me about a prank home invasion video that was filmed for YouTube and how she fully believed that her friends were being attacked by a masked intruder with a baseball bat. Did she tell you about the time she prank called Alex James pretending to be his stalker? I mean, most of us, even though we can acknowledge the fact that Gabbie Hanna was probably being really annoying, believed Gabbie about the rice gum thing. I believe I even said it in one of the videos I showed you earlier. So, yeah, this is nonsense. As I think you know with the vlogging community, the longer you do it, the more extreme shit has to get in order to get the views. Well, yeah, if you're money hungry and crazy, sure. I was like, I don't like this, I'm uncomfortable. She claimed the video's ending had to be reshot because her original reaction was so severe that it couldn't be reliably used for laughs online. Hanna declined to say who had made the home invasion video, though it's still online. It was David Dobrik, who did not reply to repeated requests for comments. This article is a lot. The kind of caustic energy that once made Hanna fun to watch is now a liability for her. No. If you watch anything of Gabbie Hanna from like 2016, 2017, and a video from 2019, you're going to see drastically different people. You're going to see a decline in a young woman's mental health and a uptick in shitty behavior. Her caustic energy is not something that was a baseline that just became a liability. Like, this is such a horrible repainting of facts. Imagine you had a friend 6 years ago who to this day is contacting your employers, contacting everyone you know, and trying to ruin your reputation. Imagine having a random stranger on the internet claim that you raped someone, and then people who got wind of that then called, despite there being no merit to that, then called that person's employer to alert them of said things. Imagine. Can you imagine it? I lost sponsors, I lost a record deal, I lost my friends. Hanna estimates that between 2019 and 2020, she lost between $5 million and $10 million in revenue, between AdSense bucks, sponsorship deals, and a record label contract with a company she declined to name. Hanna doubts she'll ever return to YouTube full-time, even though she has a new representative and newfound acceptance of her reputation. Now she's focusing on offline pursuits. She wants to move to Hawaii and start a company that sells candles and cards. Girl, she should do that. Just go do that. Pack up Ken and get the fuck out. She's finishing her second album, which she described as rock and emo. Maybe in the future, she said, she'll work for a record company and discover and sign new talent. Yeah, because we all know Gabbie's got the ear. I don't think I'm going to want to be an artist forever, she said. I'm tired. She worries about the money drying up, about the mortgage she has to pay. She worries about what she'll do if being a creator doesn't work out. I have this fear that, okay, if I spend this much money here or I make the wrong move, I'll lose everything and I'll have to sell my house and maybe I'll be homeless again. But wait, I thought she had already bought the house in PA. That's weird. All these irrational fears, but even if music didn't work out the way YouTube didn't work out, the way I was hoping, I'll be fine. I'll figure it out. Hannah gazed out over her property at the plunge pool, the swings hanging from the cabana, the lounge chairs in front of the kitchen doors. 7 years after moving to LA to make it, she's now an island, whether that's what she wanted or not. I'll always be okay, she said. That's my newfound freedom. Like me or don't.
I don't.
So I just thought it was kind of an interesting thing to revisit. I guess for me, my question is, what does Gabbie want? What does she want? What did she want then? What does she want now? Public apologies from these people? Because it doesn't seem like it. Because I feel like even if these people broke down and apologized to her for things that they didn't do, or things that she made up, or things that she's telling completely wrong, or things that she herself did, but she's projecting it on them, well, the apology would mean nothing. She would accept nothing. She would gloat about, having been right or whatever. And the cycle would still continue. She'd still hold it over people's heads. Look at the way that she was still friends with Jesse. I was the only one who was friends with Jesse. Everybody sided with Curtis. I lost opportunities because of that. I lost friends because of that. There's no winning in the world of Gabbie Hanna. There is only destruction. There is only chaos. And I'm happy that that chat is gone. But I am also a little concerned for what that means for this week's podcast episode. Because, I don't want to put any, predictions down. But I think, okay, you want to talk about it? We're going to talk about it. Podcast is coming very soon. So, stay buckled up for that. I'm sorry to make an extra one of these before the podcast comes out. I really don't want to overdo the Gabbie Hanna videos, but I apparently just had a lot of thoughts that I needed to put here. So thank you for indulging me. Thank you for listening. Thanks for being here. I don't know. I gotta go. I gotta edit this and then cry in the fetal position for a few hours. All right. Make sure you're subscribed. Come on over to Patreon if you want. Or don't do either of those things. Either way, I'm still going to be here. I got a video about Janelle Evans to make. That's going to be a doozy. All right. See ya.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to fuck some shit up.
Can you hear my plane? Can you hear it? I don't think it's ready to pick me up yet. And made choices that are very ungodly. Power of Christ compels me. Where are you backing up to? This is an example of something, probably.